Chapter 8. The mirror doesn't lie, but it can heal. The bathroom light was too bright for this hour. It hummed faintly above me, flickering just enough to make me notice the shadows on the walls. The air was warm from the shower I had taken an hour ago, but the steam had long since faded, leaving the faint smell of soap mixed with the stale scent of an apartment that had been lived in by a man who kept too much inside. I stood there, toothbrush still in hand, the foam gone cold in my mouth because I had stopped brushing mid-motion. My elbow hung in the air, suspended. My eyes, they were locked on the mirror. It wasn't planned. I hadn't told myself, tonight's the night you're going to face yourself. It just happened, or maybe it had been building for years. The glass was smudged from where my kids had leaned in days earlier, playing with their reflections. I could see faint fingerprints, tiny reminders of innocence. But above those smudges, in the center where my face should have been, I saw something else. Not someone. Something. I saw exhaustion. Not just physical fatigue, but the kind of weariness that seeps into your bones and builds a permanent home there. The kind that ages you faster than the calendar. The kind that no amount of sleep fixes. My hair was messy, flattened on one side. My jawline was hidden under stubble that was half laziness, half, what's the point? There were shadows beneath my eyes that looked permanent now, as if someone had taken a charcoal pencil and drawn them there. And the eyes, God, the eyes, they weren't mine. At least, not the ones I remembered. Once upon a time, my eyes had this quiet spark, not loud or attention-seeking, but alive. Tonight, they were dull. Not empty exactly, but dimmed, like the pilot light of a stove that's one gust away from going out. That's the cruel thing about losing yourself. You never notice the day it happens. You don't wake up to a warning sign saying, "This is the moment you'll forget who you are." It's a slow theft. Day by day, mask by mask, until the stranger in the mirror is more familiar than the you that used to be. I thought about how long I had been avoiding this exact moment. The bathroom mirror wasn't my enemy, but I treated it like one. I'd brush my teeth with my eyes fixed on the sink. I'd shave looking at the wall, using touch more than sight. In the car, I tilted the rearview mirror just high enough so I could check traffic, but never catch my own reflection. It wasn't vanity. It wasn't shame about aging. It was deeper. I was afraid of seeing the truth, because mirrors don't care about your excuses. They don't care about how tired you are, or how much pain you've endured, or how good you are at faking it for the world. They strip away the performance and hand you, raw, unedited, unfiltered. And I hadn't been ready for that. Not until tonight. I set the toothbrush down on the counter, foam dripping onto the porcelain. The sound of it hitting the sink was louder than it should have been, or maybe my whole body was just tuned into the wrong frequency. I leaned forward, my palms pressing into the countertop, and for the first time in years, I really looked. No dodging, no half-glances, just stillness. Who are you? The question came out of my mouth before I could stop it. My own voice startled me. It sounded hoarse, cracked at the edges, like it had been used for everything but talking to myself. I waited for an answer I knew wouldn't come. In recovery, people talk about facing yourself, like it's this noble, empowering step. But what they don't tell you is that it can feel like a funeral. Standing there, I felt like I was mourning a man I couldn't even fully remember, the real me, the one who used to laugh without forcing it, the one who dreamed without doubting, the one who wasn't afraid of his own reflection. I missed him. I missed me. And that missing hurt in a way I can't fully describe. It was grief and longing and guilt all tangled together, pressing heavy on my chest. Somewhere deep in my memory, a flash surfaced. Me as a kid, standing in front of the cracked bathroom mirror in my childhood home, practicing faces, smiling, frowning, pretending to be serious. I remember laughing at myself back then. What happened to that kid? When did the mirror stop being a playground and start being a battlefield? I stayed there for a while, locked in an unblinking stare-off with myself. I thought about every mask I'd worn over the years. The strong one, the quiet one, the angry one, the fixer, the dependable one, the invisible one. All of them costumes I had stitched together to survive. They had kept me alive, sure, but they had also buried me. And in that moment, I realized something. If I didn't start digging, I might never find myself again. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't smash the mirror. I just whispered, "I see you." It was quiet, almost timid, as if I was afraid the man in the mirror wouldn't believe me. And maybe he didn't. Not yet. That was the first step. It wasn't dramatic. There was no triumphant music playing in the background, no sudden wave of self-love, just a small shift. But sometimes the smallest shifts change the course of an entire life. I wish I could tell you that after that night in the bathroom, I woke up the next morning with a plan, a fresh sense of self, and a renewed hunger for life. But the truth is, the next morning, I almost convinced myself it didn't matter. It's easier that way. Easier to go back to routine. Easier to slip the mask back on and act like nothing happened. Easier to let that moment in the mirror fade into the background like a dream you're not sure you actually had. But something was different this time. That look, the one I gave myself, was stuck in my head like a song you can't stop hearing. It followed me into the kitchen, into the car, into my work. It was as if the man in the mirror was still watching me, waiting for me to say something back. That evening, I grabbed a notebook. Not the nice kind you save for big ideas or formal journaling, but an old one I'd shoved in a drawer. Its pages were bent, the cover half torn. It felt appropriate, a little broken, a little messy, like me. I sat at the table, pen in hand, and just stared at the page. How do you even start a conversation with yourself? Do you say, "Dear me"? Do you apologize? Do you write like you're talking to a friend or like you're confessing to a judge? I didn't overthink it. I just started. "Dear me, I don't know when I stopped caring about you. Maybe I never really did. Maybe I've been running from you so long that I forgot you were even there. But tonight, I saw you. Not the version of you I like to show the world. Not the one who knows how to smile in pictures or sound confident when it matters. I saw the one under all that. The tired one. The hurt one. The one who still flinches when certain memories come up. I don't know if I'm ready to love you yet, but I don't want to ignore you anymore. I'm sorry. I think that's where I have to start. Me. The pen hovered for a moment. My hand felt heavy. I wanted to close the notebook, to shove it back in the drawer, but I didn't. Something in me knew that if I walked away, I'd be walking away from more than just a piece of paper. So I wrote again. "Dear me, you've been through hell. I don't even think I've fully admitted how much I've downplayed it, made jokes about it, told the story in ways that made it sound lighter than it was. I think I did that so I wouldn't scare people, or maybe so I wouldn't scare myself. But you know the truth. You've always known, and I think I owe it to you to say it out loud. It wasn't your fault. What they did, what they said, how they left, none of that was your fault. You were just trying to survive, and you did. You're still here. That counts for something. Me. By the third letter, my handwriting had started to loosen. The pen moved faster. It was as if my inner self, the one I'd silenced for years, had been waiting for this chance to speak. And now the words were pouring out. Dear me, I know why you stopped looking in the mirror. It's because you thought you didn't deserve to see someone worth looking at. But I think you've been wrong about that. You're not the mistakes you made. You're not the worst thing you've done. You're not the worst thing that happened to you. You're you. And that's enough. Me. By the time I finished, my eyes were burning. I didn't cry, not the full chest-shaking sobs that sometimes come during breakthroughs, but I felt something, a shift, like a locked door in my chest had clicked open, even if it hadn't swung wide yet. I took the notebook to the bathroom. I stood in front of the mirror again, and this time I held it against the glass so that my reflection was framed by my own words. I looked at myself, the smudged glass, the tired eyes, and I read each letter out loud. It felt awkward at first. My voice cracked, my throat tightened. But with each sentence, the words felt more real. By the end, I was looking at myself the way you look at someone you've hurt but want to make things right with. Not with pity, not with guilt, with intention. That's when it hit me. Maybe the mirror doesn't lie, but it doesn't have to be cruel either. From that night forward, I started leaving the notebook on the bathroom counter. Every few days I'd add a new letter. Some were short, a sentence or two. Others spilled across pages. They weren't all deep or emotional. Some were just reminders. Drink water. You matter. Take the walk. But they all had the same purpose, to make the mirror a place I could face without flinching. Looking back, that's when the healing started. Not with some grand gesture, not with someone else's forgiveness, but with the quiet, awkward act of talking to myself until I could finally hear me. The notebook had started as a conversation, but somewhere along the way, it became a mirror of its own, one that reflected not my face, but my truth. Weeks passed. My handwriting grew looser, my tone gentler. The Dear Me letters became less about cataloging my pain and more about recognizing my survival. The first few pages were raw, shaky, a list of what hurt. But by the end, I could see the shift. There were thank yous, moments of pride, little notes of self-encouragement. That's when I realized I wasn't just writing to myself. I was slowly writing myself back to life. One night, I stood in the bathroom with the notebook in my hands and knew something was different. I wasn't avoiding the mirror anymore. I wasn't flinching. I was ready. I set the notebook on the counter, opened to the very first page, the one with my clumsy, hesitant apology, and I read every letter from start to finish. At first, my voice was steady. Then came the letters where I admitted the truth about my past, the ones I'd written in shaken handwriting, where ink blots still dotted the page from tears I swore I didn't shed. My voice cracked. I had to pause. By the time I reached the last entry, I felt like I'd just walked through my entire life in one sitting. I looked at my reflection, and without thinking, I said out loud, "I forgive you." It wasn't poetic, it wasn't rehearsed. It was simple, and it was enough to make my knees weaken. Because, for years, I'd been waiting for those words from someone else, a parent, a friend, a lover, even God, when the truth was, I needed to hear them from me. I needed to be the one to release myself from the sentence I'd been serving in my own mind. That's when I decided to make it official. I walked to the kitchen, pulled out a lighter from the junk drawer, and went outside. The air was cool, almost still, like it was holding its breath. I tore out one page, just one, from the notebook. It was the letter where I blamed myself the most, the one that had haunted me. I held it over the lighter's flame and watched the paper curl in on itself, turning into black ash that floated away into the night. I whispered as it burned, "You don't get to live here anymore." I didn't burn the whole notebook. I needed the rest, the proof that I could change the way I spoke to myself. But that one page, that was my release, my first act of symbolic self-forgiveness. And here's the thing. The next morning, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see a stranger. I didn't see an enemy. I didn't even see someone fully healed. I saw someone worth healing, and maybe that's all you need to keep going. That night, before bed, I left the notebook open to a blank page with the pen on top. Because tomorrow, there was something I needed to write that I'd been avoiding for years. Not to myself, not to someone who hurt me, but to someone I had once loved and lost.